So while it did say I was Dominic Quinnell, I'm not. I'm making a habit of this. I'm Gareth O'Brien. I'm from Enertechnos. I'm the operations director. Enertechnos is in the process of building a capacitive-based energy transmission cable. We're in the middle of our Innovate UK project with partners Brunel, TWI, and Elan Cable. And the stage we're at is where we are having manufactured in multiple different manufacturing sites samples of the cable on existing equipment. So why? Throughout the industry, there's a big focus on energy efficiency, generally either on the generation side or on the consumption side, but relatively little focus on transmission and distribution. And globally, as you'll see there, 10.6% of generated electricity is lost in transmission and distribution losses. Most of that will be on the distribution side. So as you get down to lower voltages, you get into cities and towns, that's generally where you're losing the bulk of your energy. UK-wise, 1.5% of the total CO2 emissions in the UK are attributable to T&D losses, which is quite a chunk. The main reason where you're losing power in cables is fundamentally its resistance. Back to basic physics. Who did physics? GCSE at least? The odd engineer in the room? Right, so your basic DC resistance, there's nothing we can do about. But in AC, you also have magnetic and electric fields causing reactance. That's as much as physics as I'm going to do. What we're focused on is by adding capacitance to the cable, we're able to overcome that inductive reactance that's natural in cables, cancel it out, and end up with much less voltage drop and therefore more power arriving at the other end of the cable. Diminishing year on year margin of generation, 15% down to 5%. The nice winters we've had for the last while have let us off the hook, but the idea of losing power in cables is becoming more and more of a problem. Flip side of that, the demand for electricity is going only one way. National Grid's studying 4 different scenarios, and even their most conservative, or the most unlikely, nobody changes anything, nobody goes to e-cars, nothing happens in terms of electricity demand, still shows it going up slightly. It's been coming down, as I say, mostly generation and consumption efficiency, but every case shows a demand for more electricity. National Grid's quite confident that the UK can generate that power. The DNOs are less confident that they can get it into the neighbourhoods, and especially as e-car charging becomes a problem. So, capacitive transfer system. Everything that we're doing stays inside the cable. We're not changing massive amounts of infrastructure. Basically, from bus bar to bus bar in the substations, we're making a change in between, but nothing changes in the rest of the equipment. Jointing and cable manufactured on existing systems that allow us to utilize existing equipment and present something that the industry is relatively familiar with in terms of the shape of how it appears. 2 main different geometries. We're using an enameled wire in one of them, the one on the left with very random geometry, and then a more organized one in the middle using layers of dielectric to separate what amounts to effectively 2 electrodes.
1 minute. Please.
1 minute, okay. Pick up the pace. Another shot of the same thing. Right. What that allows us to do is go greater distances underground, reducing time to permitting by getting rid of the pylons. Ultimately, the bottom line is reducing the overall losses in the system. Areas of outstanding natural beauty are a major problem when you're trying to get cable runs in. We've had experience in Ireland with lines of 4 and 5 years. Once moved from pylon to undergrounding, we're getting them done 4 or 5 years faster. The CapEx return on a wind farm or a solar farm that's operational 5 years sooner is huge. A couple of studies. Take a quick snapshot. I'm going to keep going. Yep. And where we're at. We're in the process of we've raised and spent on the order of £2.5 million to date. We're in the middle of a £4 million raise. We have a £1 million project underway from Innovate UK. What we're really after is contacts from opportunities to install. We have one that's going in the UK. That'll be a 15-kilometre sector of a DNO network. And other similar opportunities, particularly isolated feeders, various different opportunities to take it off the grid are things we're looking for. And thank you. Sorry for running over.